This is a Shop Vac podcast. A wet and dry vac that picks up water and dry stuff with a wet foam filter. So Shop Vac brands are going to be Shop Vac, Craftsman, and Ridgid and Stinger. And this podcast may be more towards the Stinger over the other companies. The Stinger Shop Vacs. It's a small, cheap $40 Shop Vac, but a little pricier than the Craftsman 2.5. I think it's a 2.5 gallon Shop Vac, and I love that thing too much. That comes with a foam filter. So in the Shop Vac range, you mainly Shop Vacs towards like the cheaper range. You really don't have a foam filter because they're cheap, and if they break, you can get another one versus these ones. So when you open up a Shop Vac, you see a little grate inside. These cheaper ones don't have a little grate. That helps with anything like big, large, doesn't get stuck into the motor and fry the motor or clog it. Because when they build those cheaper Shop Vacs, they just think, you don't want to put a small motor in there and think, oh, why you can't put a small motor in that Shop Vac? There are small motors have good power, but they don't have a little grate inside of the where the filter cage is. So they just think it's pretty much good, and you probably put everything in there. It works the best. We all have one. It cleans the best. This is mine works the best. They all work the same. They all have different gallons and different peak horsepowers. And I don't mean like a regular horsepower, peak horsepower. And what's the power? So they don't have the same much power compared to a 1.5 horsepower pool pump. That thing has more power than a Shop Vac. They're not talking about that horsepower. That's total horsepower. That's peak horsepower. Total horsepower is way different than peak horsepower. So like 1.5 horse and 1.5 peak horsepower, they're two different. 1.5 horsepower is stronger than 1.5 peak horsepower, because you don't want something that strong, because that will be picking up a carpet. They have 12 amp motors except for small ones. Shop Vac. So Shop Vac's been sold every store, online stores, different companies out there sell Shop Vacs. They work for dust collection, all their stuff, and they're pretty much good. They're handy everywhere. They have 4 casters. Some don't have casters, like the cheaper versions going up to like the $20 range up to like the $40 range. They don't have casters because they're cheap. They're very cheap, and they're small and portable. So portable Shop Vacs don't really need it. So you can use it for like car vacuuming or other stuff. Well, I'd be thinking, why there's a small, why you can get something this big? So for your applications, if your applications are different, you probably need something bigger that can pick up more water and pick up more stuff. If your applications are smaller, like say maybe your automobile. So do you know those carpet cleaning attachments for like those little rug, like the little Bissell, little green, like that? So a Shop Vac has more power than that portable carpet cleaner. And it's true, they're selling stuff like that everywhere for Shop Vacs. They have more power. So, and they're for like the bigger ones, like these ones right here, like what's on this picture right here. They're not for like the small little tiny ones like the one I have. That one's good for like small little areas. That's smaller. This one's for the bigger stuff. So like the 2-inch hose, that thing has so much power versus the 1.5-inch hoses. That's good for like smaller areas. You'd be thinking, why I think it's the best idea. Maybe I should have bought it. Maybe I should have got it. Maybe I couldn't do it. Maybe I couldn't turn it on. It's loud. So I have a lot of stuff going on. You'd be thinking there's a lot of glass on the floor. Let's say you actually drop a plate and it's shattered every 2 gazillion pieces. And what you want to use a household vacuum with a direct air motor, or a vacuum that has a bag inside you're afraid it's going to tear up and go into the motor, or a Shop Vac. So you get like those choices. What's the best machine you can get? A Shop Vac can pick up more glass than the household vacuum cleaner on the floor. These cannot be your permanent machine. These big ones cannot be like you use it for around your house. These are for like shops. These big ones, you probably think they're both appliance and a tool, because you see these more towards in a shop. Like the small tiny versions or more towards appliance, because you see them more in houses over these ones. These are more towards outdoor machines, so you can use them for outdoors or use them. These are mainly for shops too, because they call it a shop vac, wet dry vac. The small ones are called wet dry vacs. They're for around the house. Like, I clean my house with that thing, and I put a bag in there. And you're thinking, how do I install a bag? And it's pretty much simple, easy. Some shop vacs have a little, if you had a car or other vacuum that slides up, you put your bag and slides in. Some are like that. The one I have has a little piece of little elbow thing that sits inside. So changing out a bag might be a little difficult on that one because it doesn't slide out. So for like for $39 for it, and if it's also on sale now, I think it's off sale now. It was on sale for $34 for that Craftsman. I just love that thing. I talk about in all my YouTube videos. Every video I post I always talk about that shop vac. Craftsman did a really good job making that shop vac. And that thing goes, I'll buy another one of those in a heartbeat, because I can't believe this. I'm not sponsoring Craftsman, so Craftsman did a perfect job making that shop vac. Like, I just can't believe how well that thing really held up. Like, that thing can pick up anything small. Like, I just love it too much for its use. You're gonna think, how about a different brand shop vac? Maybe a Ridgid. Well, Ridgid makes good shop vacs. They're good for contractors. If you're a contractor, you need a Ridgid shop vac. If you're more towards a homeowner, you probably want something small, like a little Ricky-D shop vac. Some people call Ricky-D shop vacs. I call them good shop vacs. If you do something small, clean up your little kids' messes, that one. If you're going up too big, you'd be picking up sawdust, everything. Is it better than a dust collector? And that's a question that I need to actually research for that, and I would make a YouTube short for that. Is this better than a dust collector? Dust collectors have so much power. You can pick up a whole trailer park with that thing. You can pick up a whole entire trailer park with a dust collector. And companies out there make dust collectors like Jet, Grizzly, and you can use this. Yes, you can. And if you think it does Pen Tool sell dust collectors, they don't directly make their own dust collector. And I think if you actually make a video about it, and if they did send you it, they'll make their version of it. So if Pen Tools, they don't even sell even shop vacs too. Pen Tools don't even sell stuff like this, because commercial industrial buildings don't even use machines like they probably have it inside, like the shop vac. They do have industrial versions of these for water pickup or slurry pickup. You know, the NSS Colt wet and dry vacuum, that's for like picking up like for schools, other stuff. Going out to, you see them in some buildings use the NSS Colt, that's their wet and dry vac, and some companies use there are other brands. Some people use these shop vacs. They all do the same thing. They pick up water, but the NS Colt has more power, and it actually has a smaller diameter hose, because you don't pick up a lot of stuff. A lot of people buy them because it picks up well with water than dry stuff, because it's good for water and after your floor buffing and other stuff. And be thinking, how does it clean well? Does it clean perfect? Where's the on-off switch? Everything's towards inside a little thing. You turn it on, it turns on. They're mainly noisy. When they get old, they're very loud. They're not as quiet as a shop vac, but you'll be hearing that thing picking up water every time. You think, is it better? Well, I'll be comparing to the NS Colt to a shop vac. And all to the other companies who make one. They always some companies call them wet vacs. They're for wet only. If you pick up dry stuff, it's getting to the motor or fry the motor. Some companies call them wet and dry vac. Like restaurants, other stuff might have something like this for like all that type of stuff, like picking up all the other stuff. Maybe you actually spill ice cream. They use something like this in their building. Some companies use the It looks like an NS Colt version of those machines, but like bigger industrial buildings, like you're going up to maybe like the home stuff, like the Walmart, the Home Depot, the big box stores. They would use, or even the schools, they use something bigger than this. Like small, like mom and pop stores, they will use something they used to pick up with the water because they're small. Like going up to the big, huge places like the schools, the warehouses, up to churches. If you have all hard floors, stuff like this will pick up stuff like that size. Would pick up more stuff. If you're thinking, it doesn't pick up, well, it needs to pick up everything. It works better. It probably does work better. You probably had one before. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I don't even know how these things work. Probably thinking it's probably the perfect machine to get. You'd be thinking, what color? What's the manual too? There's a manual in there too. When you take it out, you always read the manual. And some are pretty simple, easy. You don't even need a manual, like the Stinger shop vac. You don't even need a manual for that because it's pretty simple. It's ready to use out of the box. The Craftsman has only one little assembly to do. Just put the handle on, that's it. This one has minor assembly. You have to put more stuff to it. And guess what? Pretty much easy because it's perfect. So that's going to be it for this podcast. So that's going to be it.